This video is not for whales and dolphins. It's for you, because you are just like me. Average Gamer here, and today we still don't know when Miyabi is coming. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and give some theories and ideas and break down why her marketing hasn't been released yet, and then we'll consider the possibility that she might not be coming at all and why that might be. Right now, I feel like Yanagi in her trailer, I've been looking everywhere for Miyabi and sleeping on Haramasa. So let's start with the reasons why her marketing may have not been released yet. Now, to be clear though, she is probably coming real soon. Now, in the past, they released the marketing a day apart for each of the agents on the banners. Caesar on the 11th of August and Bernice was 12th of August, with 1.1 releasing on the 13th of August. Yanagi was 23rd of September and Lighter was 24th of September, with 1.2 releasing on the 24th of September. Now in 1.0, the character drip marketing for 1.1 was spread out over a couple of weeks, but that's mostly because it was the first patch and the marketing couldn't have come out before the game's release. So we won't worry about that situation. Now, Haramasa's marketing came out on the 1st of November, with 1.3's release on the 6th of November. So in terms of the timeline here, it's more that Haramasa is early rather than Miyabi being late. Because on the last two patch updates, we didn't get the character marketing until a day or on the day of the 1.1 or 1.2 release. So this supports the idea that Miyabi is still coming and we'll just see her in a few days. And here's another supporting theory. As Haramasa has been marketed first, making him come out in December on a proposed date of 18th of December at the start of 1.4, and then Miyabi in the second half will start during the winter holiday just before the new year around the 30th of December. Now that Christmas and New Year period is typically a time of spending, so it makes sense for her to run at that time in the second half of 1.4. In fact, actually considering the recent sensor tower port, which you should always take with a grain of salt by the way, but it looks like spending is higher in global regions as opposed to in China. So I would argue that it would have been better to have Miyabi run in the first half of 1.4, to have her run over the Christmas period for the Western spenders, but as we've got Haramasa info first, it seems unlikely that they would flip that now. But still, that entire period is a period of spending, so it does make sense for her to be on the second half of 1.4. It also makes sense to not announce her too early, because the earlier they announce the characters, the more likely they are to get players saving their polychrome, which makes sense. And this could be the start of a trend where we see them approach the drip marketing a little differently, as giving us about 2.5 months notice that a character is coming is quite generous, as it really lets us free-to-play or low-spend players squirrel our polychromes away for our chosen character that's miles off at this point. And to particularly support this point, there has been a cult of saving for Miyabi around Zenless since it launched, and actually before, because players got to use her in the first closed beta, and since then the community has adored her. So what I am saying is, even if we don't get her marketing before 1.3 launches, that doesn't mean it's over. They could just be holding back to see if players are more likely to spend their reserves when they don't know about that second character in the patch. Which also might explain why they put Haramasa first, because I think he could be really cool, but I think most players are straight dudes who want the badass women in their game. And if they see the only announced character for 1.3 as a dude that they aren't particularly interested in, I'll bet they'll blow their loads all over Yanagi. Of polychrome. There are loads of polychrome on Yanagi. Anyway, which is a bit shady from Hoyo, but it does support the theory that Miyabi could still be coming out in 1.4, even if we don't get the marketing until after Yanagi's banner is over, because then it would make the most financial sense for Hoyoverse. To additionally support the idea that she will be on 1.4, she's a character who was in the first beta for the game. Her animations of stuff have probably been set for a while. I doubt that there is a development reason as to why she can't appear on 1.4. I'm going to move on in a sec though and present the other side of this debate where we consider why Miyabi might not appear in 1.4. But before then, this is your quick reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Please consider liking and subscribing, as it helps to support small creators like me on YouTube. Thank you so much for the support so far. You are very handsome or pretty, but as mentioned earlier, probably handsome. Now join me though, I'm going to pop on my tinfoil hat here for a moment and suggest a theory that could be proven wrong very shortly. So if that's the case, I'm sorry, you can leave, I guess. But if we're still waiting for the information on Miyabi as we get into Yanagi's banner, this theory has a higher and higher chance of being true. So they have been marketing these agents one day apart for the last couple of patches, and now they've stopped because maybe there is no new agent for the second half of 1.4. Maybe. And let's dig into why that would happen. So in Genshin and Star Rail, 1.4 was the start of the rerun banners, where they ran already released characters alongside new ones. So that means that players could get characters that they might have missed out on in those games. The reruns came alongside new characters, but what if in Zenless we stayed with the single banners and the reruns were just the entirety of the banner? If this is correct, the reason we haven't yet got Miyabi news is because we're not getting her in 1.4, and we're only getting Haramasa as a new character. And then we would most likely get an Ellen rerun for the second, or actually potentially even the first half of the patch. Because if Haramasa is the only new agent, it doesn't matter which side of the patch she comes out on. So should the trend continue, we would expect to see rerun banners in 1.4. But it's kind of assumed that this would be alongside new characters up till now, where it might not be. Now, to ease the blow of a full rerun banner, I wonder if it could be that our first double banner would be that they would potentially rerun 2 characters. So maybe Ellen and Ju Yuan, or maybe Qingyi, but that's complete speculation. But it would make me as a player feel a bit happier about getting a full rerun patch, knowing that basically any players who missed out on those early characters and really want them can hop in and get them should they want them. And maybe that could become some kind of trend where we get single banner new agents and double banner reruns. Because in Zenless Zero, you don't really need as many characters as in Genshin or Star Rail, because your teams are 3 characters instead of 4. So this supports the idea that there's not really a need for them to introduce a double banner system, because the need for characters is lower. I mean, once they have enough characters though, they are kind of just leaving money on the table by not doing that, but I could understand that thought process. We could argue as well that because Haramasa's marketing was released on Friday, they might be waiting till after the weekend to announce Miyabi. But this argument doesn't make too much sense, because if Caesar's marketing actually dropped on a Sunday, which it did, so the fact that it has been over a day and we still haven't had the marketing for Miyabi does support the idea that she might not be coming 1.4, because we've had drops on the weekend before. Now, another reason why they might have pushed Miyabi back is that they want her to be a big part of a certain time period. So upcoming we have Chinese New Year, which is due to be on the 29th of Jan 2025. And it could be that due to her popularity, they want to hold Miyabi back until a big event like Chinese New Year to maximize the amount that they will make from her. Now, as much as this is a period of spending in China, globally, January into early February would be a pretty low spending period. And if the game is making more outside of China now, we would expect the developers to lean into this. However, these things might have been planned out for some time now, and it might be too late to change them. Another supporting reason why they may not want to put Miyabi out just yet is that they might be rebalancing her. Let me explain. Now, I mentioned this on stream, but I'll also try and lay out my thoughts here. The reason why is that her kit may have been set and decided for some time now, and I imagine she's pretty powerful. But considering the amount of buzz around her, they might be rebalancing her kit so that even the players who have saved for her will still have to spend money to get one of her earlier Mindscapes and or her Wenjin, and they might be considering making her kind of useless at M0, which is sad, but a reality of playing a gacha game that we should consider. Now, I really hope this isn't the case, but it might be that they want to rework her to still provide worth at M0 to get people to buy in, but then nerfing her hypercarry potential until maybe M2, for example. And this might be a decision that they've made since the game is released due to the community thinking that she's very cool. And that's why they need some extra time to make some changes based on the community reacting to the character. And that's all I can think of from both sides. But if you're watching this video in a week's time and she's been announced, then I'm sorry you made it this far, but maybe watch a different video. But thanks very much for sticking around and watching this one. If she still hasn't been announced in a week, as I mentioned, they could still do it towards the end or even after Yanagi's banner. But this could be the start of a new trend of marketing timelines, or it could just be a one-off because of that buzz around Miyabi. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below. If you're interested, another video of mine should pop up now. In terms of my thoughts, I can really see it from both sides. But if I had to pick one, I would say that she's probably still coming in 1.4. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe for better than average luck on all your pulls. Pull responsibly, stay weird, all the normal stuff. Bye, 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 bye.